before you went down the Vicodin road, you had 5 friends that died from heroin?
Yeah, heroin.
And that still didn't deter you, be like, nope, I'm going down this road.
That didn't stop me, man. That didn't stop me at all.
Wow.
My mind frame at the time was they injected it, right? I'm just smoking it. You can't OD from smoking it. I got off work that night. I was just feeling great, so I had him go get more.
Man, that intro always gets me excited, man. It's just never gets old. Daniel, how are you doing, buddy?
Man, I am outstanding. Just pleasure to be here, man. Pleasure to be part of the growth. And just honored that you guys decided to reach out and decided to have me on. So it's a pleasure, man.
Absolutely, man. You know, we really appreciate everything that you've done for us too. You know, being in the comments, checking us out, man. We really do appreciate that. You know,
yes,
it's
sir.
you know how it is. It's going out here and living the life and getting these stories out, man, is what our game is. And we really want to get out there and help people. And you're helping us in a big way, man. And we want to thank you, for helping us as well.
Awesome, man. My pleasure. I'm ready to knock some socks off, man.
Let's do it, man. How do you start your morning off, man? You drink coffee or what?
I should be drinking more coffee. I generally I wake up at 2:30, and I'm currently on methadone, and that is due to my long use of opiate addiction. So I wake up at 2:30. I pop an energy drink, a Monster. Hopefully, I'll be sponsored by them one day. But I'm actually looking forward to trying some more coffee. As far as like the espresso. It's definitely healthier than what I'm doing right now, but the Monster, I just like the flavor, really.
So why do you wake up at 2:30 in the morning?
I like waking up early just because it's still dark, it's peaceful. I let my dogs out and then come back, and they usually go to sleep. So I own my own business. I resell clothing on eBay. So that allows me time to get my mind right and then just start immediately on the business side of things. And it's just, I think it's the overall mood of 2:30, 3 o'clock, 3:30. It's just real peaceful to me.
Yeah, dude, I get it, man. I like waking up early, a little bit before the sun rises, going out there, drinking coffee and just chilling out, and kind of like, that's my zen for the day. That's why I just kind of like, okay, I'm here,
Yeah.
But, it's always good to kind of start that off, man, and kind of just get that zen. But you know what? You always didn't have zen in your life, man. And you didn't always wake up at 2:30. You were a star athlete, man. You're a wrestler, a football player, and you had some hard things happen in your life. And part of that was when your parents got divorced, right? Is that when your journey kind of really began?
Yeah. They started separating a little before that. Then come 2005, that's when the divorce happened. I was still living at their house. Prior to that, I've had some substance abuse, but once that happened, I took my first Vicodin, and that lifted me straight to the moon. I was sad, I'm an only child, and that divorce really hit me. Like, I knew I had to brace my mind and just brace myself for the rest of my life, just being weird, awkward, having 2 birthdays, 2 Christmases. I didn't like that. I still don't like that, but it's still I'm used to it by now, right? But at that time, it definitely threw me off my game. I like thinking of myself as like a strong-minded person, always happy, always chipper. But that just floored me, man. And
well, you went to high school, right? I mean, you grew up with both of your parents, and that's what you knew. And it wasn't until later in high school when they got divorced, right?
Yeah. So, let's see. So I was 25, and it was definitely well after high school. So,
it was well after high school. So your whole life, they were married, happy couple, you know.
Yeah, all the way up until I was 25. And
wow.
It just threw me off.
So you started kind of venturing down this path a little bit earlier before they even got divorced, but that's kind of what really kind of derailed you, them getting divorced. So what happened when you were in high school, or when you turned 18?
Yeah, so when I turned 18, I graduated high school. I was a wrestler, played baseball my whole life, and then started wrestling my sophomore year. Did that till my senior year. Things didn't work out when I tried to wrestle for college. I tried to wrestle for the community college out here, but I was too big for the weight class. In wrestling, a lot of the guys in higher weight classes, they drop. That way they have an advantage. So they're lean and just beasts, right? So if I were to stay at that weight class, 130 pounds, I would have got mopped by guys who were cut down from like 150, 160. So my option at that time was to drop from 130 down to 117. And I was lean, man, like just lean. And if I had to, I could have made the weight cut, but I would have lost a lot of muscle, and I just wouldn't have felt strong. I wouldn't have felt confident. So knowing that in the back of my mind, I felt defeated, man. Like as soon as I started wrestling, it just the camaraderie and all that. It was beautiful. It was a beautiful thing. And so I had to take wrestling out of the picture. And then I was hanging out with some guys on the wrestling team. And one day somebody had some weed, right? So I decided to try that. And I started smoking weed pretty heavily, and that started causing some trouble, some issues around the house. I'd come home, high, try to hide it, and that caused some issue for the family. And then once I turned 21, hitting the bars, that's when I started. I had friends in the music scene, so that's when I started just really, really partying. But so I got to experience a lot of different types of substances around that time. But once the opiates got into my system, all of that stopped, including alcohol.
Well, what did you... So, I mean, you go from trying to hide it from your parents to smoking weed, which, kids, if you're out there listening, you're not hiding nothing from us. We can smell it a mile away. Even your vape pens that smell like Fruit Loops, all that good stuff. Like, come on, you're not fooling anybody. But your scene kind of started with marijuana, but you started hitting a rave scene, and you started taking, what kind of drugs did you start experimenting with that?
Yeah, I was dating a girl, met this girl I was 19, and she lived in a apartment complex, and there was just nothing but university people, parties, starting on Thursdays, all the way up until Sunday, Monday. So I had some friends that were in the music scene, and we had we just met so many different types of people at those types of parties. After the bars would close, we try and round up the girls, meet up at someone's house, and just kept the party going. But yeah, the rave scene, man, I was definitely doing some ecstasy then. And just to let everybody know, I'm not here to glorify it. I'm just here to share my experience. Of course you have fun, right? But none of that lasts. None of that is worth it, man. None of that is worth it. Do not recommend it.
With ecstasy, did you... have you, I've heard stories about people who've used ecstasy, and then boom, one time they just get killed over because they got some bathtub ecstasy. Have you ever experienced anything like that or seen anything like that?
Like the bath salts, something like that.
Well, not bath salts, but ecstasy. It's not like marijuana. It's not grown on a plant, right? It's man-made product.
Yeah,
and you
100%.
never really know what's in it.
Correct.
So, I mean, I knew somebody in high school that took it, and he only did it first time, and it killed him.
Damn.
So, I don't know if you've ever experienced anything like that, or seen anything like that, or seen people OD on ecstasy.
Yeah, I've had 5 friends die from heroin. And that didn't stop me, man. That didn't stop me at all. I got offered it. At the time I wasn't doing pills, any opiates. I got offered it. I was like, no way, man. It just sounded gross. It sounded like something I shouldn't do, and that was something I didn't do. But one day at work, I was working at a hotel, and that's when I tried my first Vicodin, man. And
before you went down the Vicodin road, you had 5 friends that died from heroin?
Yeah, heroin.
Wow.
OD by the time I was 25.
And that still didn't deter you. Be like, nope, I'm going down this road. Here I go.
It didn't. My mind frame at the time was they injected it, right? And my mind frame was, okay, I'm just smoking it. You can't OD from smoking it. The only way you could really die from that, like after you smoke, is like if you black out or something like that. But you can't, as far as I know, and you can't die from just smoking it. Now the fentanyl's out there, that's a whole different beast. I've never tried that, but my mind frame at the time that kind of gave me that pass, like, okay, I got to try this.
And I'm doing it the safe way.
Yeah.
I'm not doing it the way my friends are dying, injecting it. I'm smoking it, and I can't die from it. Which I don't know if that's true either. So if somebody out there that knows, if you can, hit us up, put us, comment. Hey, we'd like to know. So you were smoking heroin at this time. Mm-hmm. You were in the rave scene, doing ecstasy and everything else that goes with it, I imagine, marijuana, coke, anything that somebody puts in front of you, you're probably going to take, right?
Yep.
Because it's a rave scene. That's what people do in the raves.
Yeah.
But then you were working at a hotel, and that's when you got your first opiate?
Yeah. So I got put on opiates when I was 25. Did the pills for 2 years. Tried heroin my first time at age 27. And I could go into that story if you like, as far as how I got put on.
Yeah, absolutely. Dive into it, man.
Yeah, so I guess before I took the Vicodin, I was super depressed at work, wasn't myself. I was a front desk supervisor for a hotel, and you got to be personal. You got to put on a presentation for people. So my maintenance guy at the hotel, he noticed I wasn't myself. So like, here, try this, man. And I really didn't ask too many questions. I didn't think much of it. So I tried it. About half hour, 45 minutes later, man, I started feeling good, warm and fuzzy inside. And before I got off work that night, I was just feeling great. So I had him go get more. I was like, here, man, just let me know how much it is. I don't care. I just need more of this, because I'm able to perform at work and do my job, just get through the shift successfully. So that went on for 2 years. One day, I was at a friend of mine's house, an acquaintance, and I was waiting on a pill guy to come. I was in withdrawal. I was dope sick, not feeling good at all. And as soon as I walked in, I seen him in his room on his bed smoking something on foil. Long story short, it turns out to be black tar heroin. He knew I was dope sick. So I was just drilling these questions in him, like, what the heck are you doing, man? So the more questions I asked, the more feedback I got, the more answers I got. Ultimately, I asked him, if I try what you're doing, will that make me feel better? And ultimately, he said yes. So I tried that. Immediately, I got well. And when people say they get well, that means they're not dope sick anymore. And at that point, I was just using every day just to feel well, just to feel normal. I really didn't get high anymore.
What is dope sick, man? Like run me through what that feels like.
Yeah. So after a while, once your body becomes physically dependent on opiates, you start experiencing symptoms of withdrawal. So for me, you get the chills, you wake up super uneasy, you get nauseous, so you'd start gagging out of nowhere, eventually start throwing up this yellow stuff like stomach acid. Just, it was disgusting, man. And start sneezing, and just so many side effects, man. Some people would say it's like similar to the flu, like the symptoms, right, of being dope sick. But no, I'd rather have the flu, like a motherfucker.
So you're going through this dope sickness, man, and you're feeling all these symptoms like the flu, but the bug isn't going to end. And how, if you don't feed that sickness, how long does this dope sickness go for, this withdrawal?
Yeah, I'd say it peaks out like day 2, day 3, and then starts getting a little bit easier. Sometimes the detox, the withdrawals for me lasted up to a week, and just I couldn't you can't go to work, you can't leave the house. The only thing that could touch what you're feeling is more dope, more heroin. And if you're holding a job, if you have family, if you have kids, I've always had dogs, and it got to the point I was so desperate, it's all survival at that point. But ultimately I'd be not losing my paychecks, but going through money like super quick. And it got to the point where I'd have $20 or buy my dog a bag of food. And of course I got high, because that was the main priority. I have no brothers, no sisters. My dogs are my everything. But my addiction to the opiates, man, that became the main priority, because without that, I couldn't function. At all. And I was willing to set aside any and all consequences and deal with them later.
How much was this opiate addiction costing you? A day or a week?
A day, like up to 60 to 120 bucks a day. So my paychecks were, yeah.
Damn.
My paychecks were gone like within a week.
Then how'd you afford, this habit then? I mean, your paycheck's gone in a week. I'm sure you get paid, twice a month or once a month?
Bi-weekly. So
bi-weekly.
Twice a month.
Yeah, so gone. So obviously you ran out quite often. And so how'd you feed the habit?
Man, so when you're at the front desk, at my hotel specifically, we had 2 cash drawers. So it got to the point where I was taking the money from the front desk. Also, being the supervisor for the hotel, I had access to a safe behind the front desk just in case I needed to make change. But I cleaned out that safe. Cleaned it out. So each time I would get paid, I would make sure to reimburse what I took from the safe, just in case they did like surprise inspections or whatever. So it was all survival, like I said. So you find a way. Once you're that desperate, you find a way. Just for example, if people have no idea what I'm talking about, say for example, you are hungry, you're starving. The only thing that could take care of that, the only thing that could remedy your hunger is food. That was my food. Crazy. It's insane.
That is crazy. You went from, college to, kind of just a party scene, having fun like normal, people usually kind of go through the little scene like that. But now you're full-fledged addicted, and not only addicted, but now you're stealing from the business that you're working at. How long did that go on for?
Oh man. I was there probably for about 3.5 years. And then, I helped my friend open a sushi restaurant. So I worked there probably for about a year and a half. And that was my best friend at the time. So he was helping his friend open the sushi restaurant. They needed an extra sushi chef, so he bought me a sushi knife, real nice, expensive knife. And he trained me, did a lot of training with me. And I eventually end up messing that job off due to my addiction, all for $20. I stole this waitress's tips. They were hanging out her purse. And it was like mid-shift, like on a Thursday or something. The sushi bar was packed. And so throughout the evening, like on one of our breaks, I go in the back, and I wasn't doing well financially at the time. So I see two $10 bills hanging out this waitress's, the server's purse. I snagged it. And I'd say about half hour, 45 minutes later, the sushi boss calls everybody in the back kitchen. He's like, we got a thief in the building. He explains to everybody that this person had her cash stolen. And everyone's looking around, and including me. I'm like, what? That's crazy. Let's get him. But ultimately it was me. It was me. So
were you the loudest voice? Like, yeah, let's find out who this is.
Let's get it, man.
Yeah, knowing it's you.
Yeah. It was crazy, man. So ultimately it was me. Long story short, everybody breaks, it was like a huddle. So we all went back. I went back to the sushi bar, and the boss was walking upstairs to his office. He's like, I'm going to check the cameras. I was like, I'm screwed. I am screwed. So I put down my sushi knife after I make a beautiful California roll. Here you go. Anything else, please let us know. Put my knife down, walk out the back door, and I bounce. I call my connect. Hey, where can I meet you? All for 20 freaking bucks. But I needed to get well. That was probably one of my most embarrassing, shameful moments of my life.
So you dipped out, man. You didn't even you didn't go up to him and be like, look, I made a mistake. Here, I'm going to own up to it. You were like fucking gone?
Gone, bro. $20 bucks.
$20.
That was burning, bro. I had to get well. I had to eat my food.
So you were kind of going through that dope sickness a little bit, huh?
Yeah. As the shift went on, hours went on, I woke up, did what little I had, and then went to work. Hopefully I get some tips. I didn't get tips. I got $20. It was bad. All bad. My phone was ringing. Yeah, I just didn't answer any calls. Yeah.
So your boss was calling you like, dude, where you at?
My best friend was. So he knew. He asked me too, actually, before I left. He's like, you sure didn't do it? I was like, nah, bro. He's going to go check the cameras and we'll find out, So I made sure it was clear at the front desk, or not the front desk, the sushi bar, excuse myself, and went on that night.
Wow.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So did he check the cameras and saw you?
Yeah. So, and I'm just super thankful, man. Out of all the dirt I did at multiple jobs, I'm just super thankful I didn't get arrested. Although that may have helped me out, but I never got arrested for that, And the sushi restaurant that I'm talking about and the hotel, they're both closed down. And so I'm okay with talking about these things, making videos about them.
Did you, even if they weren't, right? They can't come back after you now.
Yeah, so long ago.
Yeah, exactly. And plus, water under the bridge, man. Did you ever run into that waitress?
No.
No,
man. I don't even remember what she looked like. It was so long ago, and I was so out of my brain, just out of my mind. I had no idea what she looks like today.
Oh wow!
So
man.
Yeah. So if she does watch this, I'm so sorry. I have $20.
Yeah, Daniel, sorry. He'll send you Venmo.
Anything. Yep.
Oh shoot, man. Okay, so now you walk out the door, called the dealer, man. It was like, hey, I got 20.
Yep.
And then you kept going down that road. Now, when you didn't have money, how did you get drugs when you didn't have the money?
Well, I would pawn anything and everything that I could get my hands on. Started with my laptop, started with some nice shoes I would have. I had a vehicle that it was a used car. So I went to one of those, I really can't remember the name, but they give you money if you put up your title, and you have a certain amount of time for you to pay them back. So I did that, and just multiple things like that. Be a lot of stealing, pawning, and just taking money from family, basically.
Did you ever have one of your connections, your drug dealers, give you credit, so to speak?
Yeah. Oh yeah, quite a few times. I was pretty loyal to one guy, and so there'd be times where I couldn't come up with anything. Also, I didn't have the energy to go out and hustle, right? So I'd call him and I would tell him I was working, even though I wasn't working. There'd be times where I was, and there'd be times where I'd be in between jobs. But I would tell him, hey man, if you could take care of me, front me $20, front me 20, and I will reimburse you the 20 plus another 20. So it sounds like a deal, right? So he did that the majority of the time, and so at that time I was thankful, because that allowed me to get by, that allowed me to regroup and find other means to just to get well, man.
So you get this 20 bag, now it's costing you $40.
Yeah, $40 in the hole.
Yeah, and it only lasts you a day, right?
Yep. If that. If that.
Because you're talking about $20, $120 a day. Now I'm like, $20, like that would only last you a few hours.
A few hours. Yep. So, like within those times, I would just be brainstorming. Hopefully, I could find some sort of hustle to get the $40 back, and all that. Just that way I could have it good with my dealer at the time when I'd go and see him again. And if I have to get another front, then we could deal with that there. But yeah, I was pretty loyal to him, and but he's seen my disease, just deteriorate. Like, it was all bad.
Well, yeah, I couldn't imagine he would be like, hey, Daniel, I think you're kind of taking this too much to a different extreme, right? Yeah. I don't think he'd be cutting you off. He'd be like, well, you need some more? Yeah, here you go, buddy. Keep coming back.
Crazy.
Keep coming back to the candy shop.
Exactly, man.
Yeah, I don't see being a drug dealer as an ethical business.
Not at all.
Yeah, I don't think there's limitations of what they're going to say. Like, nope, too much heroin today, buddy. Yeah, come back tomorrow.
Yep. Definitely not, man.
So was there a time of period that you couldn't pay him? And what would happen if you didn't pay him?
Yeah, so there would be quite a few times where I couldn't pay him. When I'd say, hey, I'll meet you here, or I'll pay you on this date. There would be some times where I would be out of options, and knowing, like, I would start getting like mentally exhausted. Like, damn, like I don't have any money, and I'm scrounging for $20. So throughout that time, some days I would go to detox and hopefully get into some treatment, knowing I still owe him money. If I got into a treatment center or a detox, I would give him a call, once after like a week or something, just to keep in communication. Like, hey man, things are getting rough. I'm in detox. I'll get in touch with you when I get out. So, but yeah, man, there'd be a lot of times where I would just, not necessarily hide, but I would go to detox just due to the fact that, there'd be no way, I'd be able to come up with some cash for the next day. So a part of me wanted to get better. Part of me wanted to get well. And that was just my desperation right there, getting kicked out of the condo I was living in at the time with my mom. And I couldn't go home because I'd steal money from her. I'd pawn her clothes. She had nice clothes. I'd go sell them. I was so freaking desperate, man. So desperate. One of the worst things I ever did. I found her checkbook. I would forge signatures, her signature. Like, $60 to $80 a day, right? And that went on for about a month. And I'm just playing it cool. And I would wake up and hopefully wouldn't hear her knock on my door, you know? So, you know, as a couple days turned in a couple weeks, and little did she know I had that freaking checkbook on me, bro. So I'd wake up, forge a little signature, go cash it out, and just enjoy my day, right? And I'd be super paranoid in the back. But like I said, I was super desperate. I was willing to deal with the consequences later, you know, as long as I got what I needed.
I mean, that's a super common deal, you know, stealing from parents, right? Because most of the time your parents is going to let you in. Be like, okay, look, it's safe harbor, right? They're going to be like, okay, come in here. And again, you're not a bad person, but you got this demon inside you that needs to be fed. And you're going to do 100%. Everything you can to feed that, and including stealing from your parents. My kid's mother is a drug addict, and she did kind of the same exact thing what you were doing, and stealing from her parents. They literally had $5,000 in their bank. That was their life savings, and they're 60 something years old. $5,000, and she went and cleaned them out.
I get it.
Went and cleaned them out, man, because of this disease. And you know, her drug, I don't know what her drug of choice is now, you know, but at the time it was meth. So I can only imagine what she's graduated to now. You know, I don't know. Once you're an addict, I imagine you're kind of going after anything and everything you can get your hands on just to feed that sickness.
Didn't care who it was. It wasn't going to stop me. You know, it wasn't going to stop me. If I was walking down the street, saw a police officer's wallet on the floor, I would have found a way to get that. You know, throw a rock in the distance when he turns, boom, pick that up. Just anything. You know, I was super desperate. And eventually, I ended up paying the price, man. One day, 2011. That's when I caught my case.
Oh yeah, what happened? What happened 2011?
Yep. Let me take a drink for this one. So, I didn't have a job at the time. 2011. This was, I believe, October 2011. I was hanging out I woke up, did what little of dope that I had, made a few calls, went to go meet up with some friends. They had a little bit, so you know, they kind of took care of me. We all got high. So we were hanging out one day, and we were trying to figure out ways to get cash, right? We're trying to figure out ways to get cash. So one of the guys knew of a couple that lived in an apartment complex. They were pretty well off. They were doing good. They lived in an apartment complex, and he knew that they weren't there at the time. They were at work. So we pretty much devised a plan to hop in my car and go to this apartment complex. So it was my car, obviously, so I was the driver. I parked right in the alley. There was a fence there. I drop them off in one spot, and I pull, you know, just on the alley outside their unit. They go in the apartment complex, take what they can, anything that we can make some money off of. I get out my car, and I'm grabbing these things, right, that they're bringing me. No, I'm not even looking at it, just grabbing it, boom, put it in my car, grabbing it, put it in my car. They make it out. I think they were in there, I don't even remember, like 10 minutes, if that. Cleared out what they could, hopped in my car, and so we needed to get money. We had these things. We knew we could make some cash. We needed money for more dope. I knew I was going to start getting sick as time went on. So we're in my car, turning up the music. They're all talking about, we're just like hyping each other up. I drive to a pawn shop. As soon as I get there, I park on the side of the building, right? Park on the side of the building next to a dumpster. Usually when people go to pawn shops, they just park right in front. They go in, they're in for like 5 to 10 minutes if they're pawning something. If not, they're shopping in there, you know, not long, right? So we pull on the side. That looks sketchy. as it is, pull on the side next to a dumpster. And we start getting out, we go to the trunk, and everyone's like filtering through the stuff, throwing what we can't pawn in the dumpster there. So doing that for a few minutes, knowing my luck, little did I know there was another vehicle there. That vehicle had a detective there, and he was working on another case. He was in his regular clothes. I didn't even see him. This was on my police report. That's how I found out. So he was in there working on a case, like in his car, doing what he does. He sees us. So after I get what I'm going to take inside the pawn shop, everybody hops right back in my car. I take the stuff in the pawn shop. I come out with $200. That was enough to get us through the day. So we hop in my car and then we leave, end of our story that day.
So how did you go? So you got to the pawn shop, you're just dumping everything in a dumpster, but next to the pawn shop, which probably wasn't the brightest idea, it's like, hey, I'm going to go to not necessarily the scene of the crime, but the scene where I'm getting the money. I'm just going to throw the rest of the shit in there, maybe go somewhere else next time, if there's a next time,
Seriously.
But how did they come to you and say, hey, you're going in, it's your car? And how did they choose you to go in there and to pawn the shit off? Because that seems like the most riskiest part of it, right? Because now you're on video camera with all the stolen goods.
100%, man. So I was the only one with an ID. And so I used my ID to pawn everything. So we leave, we go get high. That detective still watching us. We take off, right? So his curiosity, of course he's going to be curious, because people don't do that at pawn shops, man. You just go in, take care of business, and leave. So he gets out his vehicle, he walks to the dumpster, starts looking at the dumpster, right? Takes out one of the bags, and he starts going through it. He finds an ID. That ID belonged to the house, the apartment complex that the crime was committed, right? So he runs the name. Sometime after we left the apartment complex, the owners got home. They made the call. There was already a bolo out, right, for somebody. But the stars aligned for the detectives, for law enforcement that day. So that quickly tied everything together. So that detective takes that information, he goes inside, pulls all my paperwork, gets a copy of my ID, all that back end stuff that they do. Fast forward a few days later. Little did I know, those 3 days I was under full surveillance. I had no idea, just living my life. Didn't notice anything sketch around the neighborhood, right? No, nothing. My house is under surveillance, full surveillance, 24 hours a day. They were just seeing my patterns, seeing if that was what I was doing every day, just coming home with stolen goods, right? So one day, I leave my house and I get in my car, and shortly before I put my key in the ignition, undercover SUV pulls right behind me. Stops, I hear the tire screech, and I look. I see a big guy with AR-15 or M16 looking thing. And I see this other guy come right in front of me. Parks right. Tucson police, put your freaking hands up. I didn't see the police thing on their vest immediately. I thought I was getting robbed, right? So, but they're saying Tucson police. So they said freeze or otherwise you get shot. So that's... So yeah, they hem me up right there. They let me know what they're there for. That was a super swift takedown from them guys. Props to them, dude. I'm just so glad I wasn't a knucklehead. So glad I didn't reach for anything, because that could have ended bad. I'm so glad I didn't start the car freaking reverse, crunch him in between nothing like that. Like, I was scared, bro. Super scared. Wake up, starting to get dope sick. Here I am getting hemmed up, and there goes my day.
Yeah, you're getting dope sick, man.
Yeah,
you're not contacting the dealer anytime soon now.
Mm-mm.
You know, so you get hemmed up, and now you are really on the hook for these charges, man. Did your other buddies get away, or did they end up snagging it?
Yeah, they got away. So since I had no rap sheet, right? I had no rap sheet, so they placed me. I go see the judge. She sentences me to intensive probation, and that's when the whole probation started. On intensive probation, you have a regular probation officer. You also have a surveillance officer. He could come to your house or wherever you're staying at any time of the day. So I have to fill out weekly schedules as to where I'm going to be, through the week. If I have to go to work, if I have to go to the grocery store, if I want to go to the gym, if I want to go to an AA meeting, all of that has to be on my schedule. So the surveillance officer's job is to surprise visit you, or at least drive through. And so I kind of lasted on that for about 7 or 8 months before I started dropping dirty again. And that
they come in, drop by, and they drug test you, or do they just kind of drop them by to see if you're there, or is your probation officer the one that tests you for drug testing?
Yeah, I had to take. I got drug tested like twice a week. I think it was 2 to 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. But when the surveillance officer would come to my house, he would have a breathalyzer. And so I'd open my door, we talk for a little bit. Real cool guy. So he'd breathalyze me, and drinking really wasn't my thing at that time. So I passed all those, right? But he said, just make sure you doing everything right. I was really good about playing the part, playing the program, working it until I got complacent, until I got squirrely in the mind. I'm like, okay, everything's cool. That's always been one of my downfalls, is complacency, and deciding to treat myself. Hey, I've been doing great. Let me go back to what I know feels good, right? So, but yeah, I lasted about 7 or 8 months on intensive probation.
Were you clean for that 6 or 8 months?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you weren't using. I was thinking you were using. I was like, man, how did you? You're getting drug tested twice a week. How did you? Yeah. How did you trick them?
Yes. So that lasted, 7 or 8 months. And then I started dropping dirty. Started getting comfortable with the whole thing, right? Started dropping dirty. This guy gave me so many chances. The probation officer gave me so many chances, man. So many opportunities. Towards the end, I knew it would benefit me a little bit more if I let him know that, hey, this next drop is going to be dirty. This next drug test, I would call him, just let him know, hey, this next drop is going to be dirty. Just want to let you know. If there's anything else you need me to do, just let me know. And it's insane thinking about that whole time back then, man.
I mean, it kind of goes into your character. I see a theme with your character right here. Is you have a conscience. You know what I mean? And it leads me to believe you're a good dude, man. You're a good-hearted guy. Yeah. And you're telling your probation officer that you're popping dirty. I don't know if many people would probably do that. I think they would probably skirt on the other end of, fuck around to find out. Have to drug test me to find out. Yep. But you just came straight up and just were telling your probation officer, hey man, I'm gonna pop, man. Like I'll save you the hassle. You can give me the talking to, but I already know.
Yeah. I don't know if that is due to the fact like how I was raised, kind of be honest, be upfront with people. But I knew if I didn't tell him, that would, I don't know if it was like a manipulation type thing. Like I would always think ahead, I would think about the consequences, but never really honor the commitment of not doing that. Right. So I don't know what it was. I knew like if I told him that this next drop was going to be dirty, maybe I could get away with it. for at least one or twice, but if I surprised him, didn't say shit, then that could have expedited things in like a bad manner for me, so
you really did it for a tactic move, not
it was
really
more
from
tactic,
a place,
I think,
than from a place of the heart of like consciousness. You're like, like, shit, I'm about to go to jail, let me prolong this. Yeah. So like, I'm not going to front here. I think it was more of a tactic of, if I do this, will the outcome be somewhat in my favor? Could I get away with this at least 1 or 2 more days? So I'm thinking that's what it was, man. That was my addicted mind speaking to me like, hey, this is what we got to do at this point. We're screwed already. Let's see what else we could get away with. Well, fuck, Daniel, you fooled me, man. I was just like, man, this got to be a place from the heart, like, because I'm a conscious person, so like that lying really rides me, if I ever lie, man, it really rides me and it haunts me. And I was like, oh shit, dude, this guy's the same way. But come find out you're doing it for a tactic move, which, I could see that as well. I don't know what I would ever do in that situation, but yeah, I could definitely see it.
Fuck around and find out.
Fuck around and find out. Yeah. Don't fuck around and find out because you're going to go to jail.
Yeah.
So, matter of fact, if you have a tactic, man, shoot it in the freaking comments below, man. What was your tactic to stay out of jail while you're on probation? But exactly. You were on probation, man. You popped dirty. We're going to take a break.
Okay. Sounds good.
And the show wouldn't be made possible without our sponsors, Red, White, and Badass Brew, and Go Man Go Productions. Your vision is our mission because we see it too. So you're over here riding dirty, and what happens, man? The probation officer gives you chance after chance, and what happened, man, after the last chance?
After one of my last calls, letting him know, after one of my last confessions, he's like, okay. He said, just go home, and the next morning, just go drop, right? Go do a UA. So I'm like, okay. So I meet my dealer one last time for a front, right? He actually fronts me. And so shortly before I get home, I pull over to a car wash, smoke the rest of my stuff, and I'm thinking like, damn, man, I'm going to get another chance. This guy's really cool. So it's looking like if I confess a little bit more, hopefully things will start going well. I'm sure I'm going to end up having to talk to him and so I really wasn't thinking much. So after I leave the car wash. This is like about 6:30 or 7:30 at night. I pull into my parking lot. I get out, and there is undercover. There's a SUV there, all blacked out. I didn't even see it until the doors opened. It was my surveillance officer and 2 other surveillance officers there. So their mission was to take me down by any means. As soon as he got out, he's like, "What's up, Daniel? You know what's going on, right?" I'm like, "Shit, here we go." So I get handcuffed, get put on my car. I'm like, "Look, man, before we take off, you mind if I go give my mom a hug?" He's like, "Don't worry about it. She already knows what's up. We talked to her already." I'm like, damn, these guys are good. So I get hemmed up by probation. Have to go see the judge. So I'm in county probably for like a good month, and then I have to go see the judge, right? She grants me the opportunity of 6 months work release. So I get another opportunity there, right? So work release, I have to stay at the jail, and I only get to leave to go to work. So I work that out for a little bit, right? Get acquainted. I call one of my ex-bosses. He lines me up at a hotel within walking distance to the jail, from the jail. So I do that for a little bit. I forgot how long, maybe a few months. Do that for a little bit. So if I got sentenced to 6 months, if I were to complete that, everything would have been done. My obligations to probation, my obligations to the state would have been done. That didn't happen. I end up calling my dealer one day. I'm working 3 p.m. to 11 at this hotel, sketchy hotel near the freeway. I have him start bringing me stuff, right? And eventually I start using again. And after work, there'd be days where I would just be super lit, super high going back to the jail. And thankfully I got through there okay. But did that. And while you're at the jail, they hit you with surprise UAs. I wake up. I don't know if someone snitched on me or something, but they hit me with a random UA. I kind of knew what days I would get UA'd, but this one was a surprise. So maybe I was acting kind of funky that night, the night before. So I dropped dirty. And they take me out of the work release side to a different side. And this area was for sentenced inmates who are sentenced to county time. So I'm there for like a couple days until they send me to maximum security. We call it the towers here. It's like one big tower, Pima County Jail. So I'm in there for a little bit, and I have to go see the judge, the same freaking judge that I saw 2 times before. And she tells me, ultimately she says, I granted you with multiple opportunities. Sure, you were honest with your probation, but your probation was revoked. You leave me no choice but to sentence you to 2 years in the Arizona Department of Corrections. And as soon as she said that, like, I knew I was screwed, right? I knew I was out of chances. I look at my mom, she puts her head down, she's crying. I have a couple of aunts there, so they were kind of consoling her. And I just said thank you to the judge, right? I said thank you. And that was that, man. So I go back to the towers and there for a few weeks until I get sent to classification prison.
So you went through this, chance after chance after chance, man. And that's what drugs do to you, man. They just take a hold of you. You know what I mean? But you're essentially clean, because you went through the detox, right? You went through fighting that dope sickness. And it got clean. 2 months, 6 months. Mm-hmm. You were clean. What led you just kind of go back into it? What led you to kind of call that your dealer, man, be like, hey, hit me with a quick 20?
Man, I thought about that a few times, but the conclusion that I come to is I wasn't ready. Eventually I was. At the end of the day, man, I just wasn't ready. I don't know if it was the complacency had something to do with it, but I just don't think I was ready.
Yeah, being in jail wasn't your rock bottom yet.
It
being on the
definitely
work
wasn't my
release
rock
wasn't.
bottom.
So then so you had a chance, man, done. The judge, your probation officer, done. You're going to maximum, or not, is it maximum security prison at that point?
So in county jail, that was maximum security. As soon as they took me from county to classification in Phoenix, that was maximum security. We only got to come out to eat. So I was there for about a week till they sent me to prison, and I was on a minimum security yard since I really didn't have a violent crime. I didn't have a severe, like a huge rap sheet. My first time in, so they take that into consideration, and I'm thankful that wasn't the case.
But in that time
politics are crazy.
That maximum security prison, was that a scary moment for you?
In jail, maximum security, I prefer that type of environment for many reasons. Like, because out here on the West Coast, yeah, you're in Cali, so I'm not sure if you've heard, but politics are at an all-time high. And that's just how it is on the West Coast. I'm in Arizona, so we have similar, if not the same, politics. Out there on the East Coast, it's really like survival of the fittest out there. It's really one man for himself. Everyone gets to eat together from what I've heard at different jails, different prisons. But out here on the West, it's like that for a reason. It's for accountability. And the prison guards, the CEOs, their job is to look after the inmates, the prison, just to get through the shift, keep their partner safe. Our job as inmates is to keep our particular race together, right? Keep everybody accountable for their actions. So in county, in maximum, that was when I got my first taste of that. And I prefer that type of environment because when I was like on the work release side, it's a huge dorm, nothing but bunk beds. You got hundreds of guys. It's just loud, bunch of nonsense going on. So for me, the type of person I am, if I have a good cellie, right? If I have a good bunkie, just if I have a real good rapport with this person, I prefer that type of environment just because it's ultimately him that I have to worry about, right? And if you guys end up clicking, like, you don't even have to worry about this guy. So it's just a preference for me, I think. Just
so on West Coast, you're segregated by race.
Yeah.
And on the East Coast, you're really just, it's a free for all. Like, so there's not the racial card being played there, right?
Yeah. I haven't been to jail out there, but from people I've spoken to, they have like little gangs. So I think they're segregated kind of by their gangs, like by their street gangs. So you might have like multiple different races in one gang, in one clique. So that's kind of how they do their stuff out there. Gotcha. But yeah, so you and I, we would be in two different cars, right? They call it cars, prison gangs, I guess.
Oh, so, prison gangs are in prison. Yeah. They call it cars.
Yeah, cars. Mm-hmm.
So you would be in the Mexican car.
Yeah.
And Chicano I'd be car. In they call it Chicano.
Yeah, Chicano. Mexican American. Yeah. So if I'm Mexican, I was born here in the States. So they call them Chicanos. The Mexican nationals, they call them Paisas out there. And that's how it is. It's kind of weird. I mean, we're all Mexican, but they're different cars. They're different entities.
Yeah, that is interesting. And then I would be in I guess there's only one white, right? White car.
You'd be a solid ass Caucasian right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'd be in the wood pile. They call them
the wood.
woods.
They call them woods.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's sort of interesting. Yeah, because that's what I had another person on the show who also been incarcerated, and he called it woods, which that's fascinating. Why would they call them woods? Why? Do you know why?
I really don't know the whole history behind that. I don't know if it has to do with, I don't know. I don't even want to guess. You know what I mean? I don't want to insult anybody, and I don't want to give up their game, but I honestly don't know where that name originated from.
Gotcha. No, it's, I find that very, very intriguing. And I didn't know anything about the West or the East Coast side of it.
Yeah.
That's even more intriguing. Now it's just like, wow, okay. Well, I figured it would just kind of be like across America. Like, this is how prisons run. But that's part of the show, man. You learn something new, man. The journey. Yeah. So you're in prison, man. So you're navigating the politics, and you prefer the maximum security because you're more isolated. You're with a bunkie, or a cellie. Mm-hmm. In the minimum security, that's where it's just more open storm style living. Yeah.
At the prison I was at, man, here's some karma, right? The biggest case of karma I've ever seen and I've ever experienced. The majority of my life, I've worked in hotels. Once I pulled up to the prison, I immediately noticed I was familiar with the appearance of it. So the prison that I get sent to is a old hotel that has been converted into a prison. So here I am, multiple years, stealing money from different hotels, right? Eventually, fast forward some time, I get sentenced to prison inside a hotel. That's insane, bro. But that's my luck.
Insane. Dude, that is funny, man. Oh my God. Yeah. Motel, hotel, Holiday Inn.
Yeah,
you were in it, man.
That's it, man. God, it was crazy.
I guess the saying's true, man. Motel 6, they always leave the light on for you.
100%, bro. 100%.
That's crazy. That's crazy as fuck.
They honor their word.
Yeah. Oh my God. I couldn't even fucking imagine rolling up and being like, oh shit, I used to work here. Yeah. Now I live here.
Where's the front desk? Where's the hotel? Or where's the housekeeping?
Man.
Yeah.
It's
crazy,
shit.
Bro.
Yeah, but I'm not taking anybody's bags this time.
Nope.
That's nuts, dude. So you went to this. So you went to the. Was there a time in prison you were scared, like of your cellmate, or like, or something to that nature? Like, was there or something that somebody did that was just so, crazy that you were like, oh shit, like I'm just a drug addict, man. How did I get bunked up with this guy?
Right. No, I'm just here to do my time. That's all. We're like in the hotel room that I was in, right? It was an actual hotel room. There were 4 bunks in there. Thankfully, all of my cellies, it was me and 3 other people. Thankfully, all them guys were cool. I had nothing to worry about, like in my specific unit. But I've seen just some crazy stuff go on. It wasn't the most violent prison. It thankfully, right? There were no riots that kicked off, nothing like that. It was an overall pleasant experience being there, but I've seen multiple fights. There's always blind spots in prison. There's always blind spots in county. So if 2 people wanted to fight, square up, if they had an issue, right? There's 2 options. You could either go scrap it out, which means fight, or arrange to get some steel in your hand and just fight it out that way till the very end. But there'd be some random times I'm just walking around the yard with some coffee in my hand, after workout or after chow, and I would just see 2 dudes in the laundry room just fighting it out, man, just scrapping. First time I seen that, I kind of wanted to stay and watch because I wrestled back in the day, and I just wanted to critique see what kind of skills they have, right? See what kind of hands they got. But that's a no-no. Do not do that. If you're in county, if you're in prison, if you're walking, you see some people fight, you just keep walking. Just look once and then just keep walking. Because if I were to stay and watch that's a form of dry snitching. So if I just stay there and watch, that basically will alert the other CEOs, hey, something's going on here, And so if a CEO were to approach the situation while I'm there, they would know that they would think I'm I have something to do with it, or it's just a bad look. It's just something you just got to keep it moving. It's none of my business, not my issue. That has nothing to do with me or my boys. I just got to keep it moving. Let them do their thing. You know, just be thankful for that glimpse I got to see for the couple punches I saw. But
how do you get your
seen
rule
a couple
book?
fights?
I mean, where's the rule book in this? You know,
Oh,
like you get in and you know the CEO hands you the rule book, like, hey, here's your 52 pager. Like, I don't imagine that's happening, right? You know? Like, how do you figure out that, like, somebody just takes you underneath their wing and be like, all right, youngster, this is your first time. I'm a seasoned veteran in prison politics. I'm going to teach you.
As soon as you hit that yard, man, one of your people comes up and they confirm if what race you're rocking with, right? So as soon as they get through all that, they lace you up. One of the guys, you know, you got to show them your paperwork. They lace you down, man. They give you some food. Make sure here's some envelopes. Write your people. They tell you how it's going to be, right? And they say if you venture out of this, there's going to be an issue for you. So you get laced up immediately. Your first day there, they let you know how it's going to go.
Did they give you these items with the expectation of you're going to give me something in return? Like they give you envelopes and food? Because I imagine it's not a buffet where you can just go and get food whenever you want, right?
Yeah, they said as soon as they took care of me, they're like, hey, don't worry about paying us back. If you see someone else new come in, you know, just go talk to them, you know, be a homie and see if they need anything, you know. So if I had store, you know, the nice thing to do would, you know, make sure they have everything they need. If anything, you know, hook them up with an envelope or something like that. Just take care of your own people in there. So that's one of the bright sides of the politics there, you know. No man gets left behind. I know this is the military, but prison, it's its own community, man. And you are there for your people. You know, the main mission is to get out and go home. But if something pops off, bro, you better lace up and you better hit that yard and start getting down. Otherwise, if you sit out for some reason, if you're taking a nap on the bunk and a riot kicks off, you're going to get dealt with quick.
No shit. So if you don't partake in the riot, and when you mean by laced up, you mean by like getting taken care of, getting beat up or hurt, right? Yeah.
So lace up, they pretty much take care of you. You know, they give you everything you need. I think I use laced up in two different ways here. So also, if something pops off, you better lace up your boots because they give you actual boots for your work jobs. So you better throw them boots on or your New Balance. I had some New Balances in there, some nice fresh New Balances. You better throw some shoes on. That basically means put your shoes on, put your game face on, and go enjoy the party. You know.
Oh shit! It
gets real, man. It gets real.
Oh, I can only imagine, man.
Yeah, so that was something I thought about every day. I was like, God, man, I just hope I don't deal with any of this. You know, the yard I was at, you had to have 5 years or less. So it was basically a going home yard. So everybody knew it wasn't the most political place, but you still had to be on your game there, right? Because you'd have other inmates coming from different yards. As soon as their points, like their security threat, their points, as soon as that lowered, they would get to go to a lower yard. So they'd be coming from like a level 5, level 4, level 3. The yard I was at was a level 2. So basically minimum security. We'd have guys coming from the higher yards trying to run that yard like a super political type place. So it'd be kind of some situations like that.
Would that person come from a higher security level get dealt with? Be like, no, this isn't how this is run. You know?
Yeah. So yeah. There was a couple times that happened. There was also times where they specifically sent this individual to dethrone the current prison head for my race there. You know, so there's big shot callers in prison, you know, on different yards, but they still called the shots at all the yards. So there'd be some situations like that where people had to get dethroned for not doing what they're supposed to do.
Did you know who your shot caller was? Did you know who your person overseeing your prison yard was?
Yeah. I had a little run-in with him too, because when I was at that yard, or when I was in prison, I was working out consistently. I was always there to try to come up with new workouts, doing some crazy like CrossFit HIIT training workouts, like back-to-back workouts.
Yeah.
So my cellie, he was a white boy, right? And we'd be writing different workouts together. And so, like, I knew this was a no-no, but I still did it anyway. Eventually, I start working out with him. He's a white boy, I'm Mexican. Nobody's doing that on this yard. Nobody does that in prison. Out here on the West Coast, that is. So I work out with him a few times. And one morning, as soon as the yard opened, it was at 5 o'clock. And like around 5:30 or so, I see the head of my race just at the other end of the basketball court, because I was working out in the basketball court with my cellie. He's just standing there like this, just watching me. I'm like, oh shit, here we go, dude. You know, thought I could get away with this. So I talked to my cellie. I'm like, look, man, I got eyes on me right now, so I'm gonna have to call this workout. And he didn't say anything. He knew what time it was. So I stopped my workout, walk around the basketball court, and walk up to the head of my race. And he's like, what are you doing? So just working out, man. And he's like, with white boy? I'm like, yeah, man. I was like, nobody here is doing these types of workouts, right? So the reason why that's a no-no is because the way they see it is I'm strengthening another race. I'm making another race stronger. So that's a no-no for any race in there, right? You can't assist another race with being stronger, you know? Just by me working out with him is kind of making him stronger. So if things popped off, you know, it would just be a bad situation. Like, say, for example, my cellie ends up knocking out one of our people, and it's just a no-no, man. Like, you can't.
Well, they don't know what side you're going to go on. They don't know if you're going to protect that guy or protect your race.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So you're a wild card.
Yeah.
You know, so they just want to eliminate the wild card, imagine, and be like, well, we don't know if we can trust this guy. Get him out of here.
Yep. So ultimately, I talked to this guy. I saw right through him, though. You know, I had a nice little pump going on. He was an older guy. He was just a dirtbag, man. He was like doing dope and all that, just doing bad stuff on the back end. Like, he wasn't fulfilling his obligations as a prison head, right? Because he had communication with the main guy that oversaw all the different complexes on the yard. So I saw right through this guy, and I didn't back down. I didn't raise my voice. And so I tell him, yeah, I'm working out with him. Nobody here, not even our homies, are doing these type of workouts, man. I'm just working out. And he's like, you know, I could get you smashed with this, right? And I compose myself. I look at him in the eye. I'm like, can you smash me? And he just stayed quiet. He did not expect that at all. And I just kept it walking. You know, I walked a few more laps and then went inside my room. I kind of felt good, like confidently, like, yeah, I got him. But I was freaking out inside. I was like, oh shit, he's going to send some guys in me. I am going to get mopped. I'm going to get my ass whooped, get jumped. So I was scared for a few days, but I don't think he told anybody about that situation, because he was supposed to handle that right there. You know, he was supposed to basically beat my ass at that point for me talking back to him. But I don't think he told anybody about that situation.
Not make him look weaker.
Yeah, 100%. I was ready, man. I was about to suplex him, dude. Like, I was about to give him his first wrestling lesson. You know?
Oh shit.
Yeah, I was ready, man. But inside, I had some fear in me, but that just came out. I didn't like being talked down to. I knew my intentions were good. I just wanted to work out. But as time went on, I knew what I was doing was bad,
Were you doing drugs in prison too during this whole time?
No.
You were clean.
Yeah.
So you really went for 2 years clean.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or did you serve the maximum time?
Actually, no. Yeah. I had to do with my back time and the time of probation. Out here in Arizona, you only have to do 85% of that time. So I only had to serve 12 months, thankfully. But within that 12 months, I didn't use, thankfully. And it would have been super easy to do dope in there because it's everywhere. Super easy at any time of the day. There's multiple ways dope comes into jail, the prison. But I just didn't touch it. It didn't even cross my mind.
Really? Because that's not normal. I mean, most people are probably using drugs if they're drug addicts in jail, right?
Yeah. Yeah. There was a lot of that going on.
That's mind boggling to me is like people who just how much drugs get into our jail, but it's runs rampant, Yep. So you do your time, man, and you get out. What does that look like when you get out?
Yeah, so as soon as I got out, I had six months of parole ahead of me. I did everything I was supposed to do. I was fine. I knew I didn't want to go back to prison. Getting high at that time for the 6 months didn't even cross my mind. My main job was to get back on my feet, get a job, and just start my life. But I'd say about a year and a half after parole, I end up getting high again. Calling the same dealer. Just when things are going great. Just when I have a bank account full of money. Just when I got a car. Just when my mom has a smile on her face because she sees her only child doing great. She sees her only child got through all of that mess, all that's behind him, hopefully. No, I wasn't done.
I mean, what'd your drug dealer say? Like, man, I'm glad you called because your frequent flyer miles were about to expire. Like what the fuck?
Yeah. Like, it's crazy, man. So
what made you relapse?
Honestly, man, I don't even know. I was with hanging out with an old friend of mine that I used to get high with. I don't know why I went to go hang out with him. I didn't have any recovery under my belt at that time. So I didn't have any resources. I didn't know there's things I could do. So I honestly don't know, man. I just went to go hang out with this guy. We went to a park just to talk because he knew I was locked down for a while. And so we were just catching up. And at that time, I think he was still using. He didn't bring it up because he knew how solid I was at the time. But it was me that brought that up. I was like, hey, how you doing, man? Are you still clean? I don't remember how that conversation went, but I do know we both hopped in my car and we went to go get high. And that set off a pretty wild cycle of addiction. I picked up right where I left off, basically.
But did you go back to jail? Did you end up stealing more from other people and everything else that you did before?
Let's see. No. Like at that time, let's see. Yeah, I didn't really do any crazy stuff, man. Like I was still working. Actually, now to come to think about it, I was working at a hotel. My boss at the time, he's a family friend. So once I got comfortable there, like there'd be time, like after I'd be getting high for a while, right? My money, would start to run dry. So I was working the morning shift at that hotel. I liked working the morning shift. So as my addiction progressed, I'd be hoping for guests to check out paying cash. I'd be praying because I had no idea how to get some money, So for guests that would check out, say for example, they were there for a few days, a week, or whatever, they'd pay like $200-$300. Instead of dropping that in the safe in the back, the deposit box, I would take an envelope, I'd write a sticky note. I'm like, hey, I put will reimburse next payday. So I'd write the total amount of the cash I'm taking, which is everything. So, and then I'd put the date, my initials. I'd try and make it official, you know what I mean, as professional as I could. But I would pretty much, it's kind of like an IOU, hey, I'll take care of this, and I'll take care of this next payday. So that went on. That was probably the extent of my dirt at that time.
Your manager was okay with that.
He was okay with it.
It's like, okay, Daniel, as long as I'll take it at your next check.
Yeah, we didn't have any conversations about it. His father was an opiate addict, so he
gotcha. He sympathized.
He understood. He got it, right? But as long as I didn't make his job harder, as far as like not paying him back at all, then he didn't have an issue with it, because I was such a good employee. Like, I was a really good employee. He didn't have to worry about the hotel while I was there, because I took care of the guests. I went above and beyond for these guests. I was really good at as a front desk agent, and
I would agree. So you took their money. I mean, that's
I was solid. I went above and beyond. It's crazy.
I mean, I commend you for. I mean, because I don't think most people would even. And again, I don't think most people would write us a note and say, "Hey, I got you."
Yeah.
I mean, drug addicts they're gonna be like, "Nope, I'm gonna take it and I want to ride this bus until the wheels fall off of it or get fired." And
it's crazy.
That's nuts, man. So
it is.
And you find comfort in motels from the prison to working.
Yeah,
like
I was in my environment, man, for sure.
Yeah, the karma, the segue is kind of crazy that way. So, what made you get clean, man? Where did you find your rock bottom?
Man, so I got out of prison 2014. Went on a few runs, or went on a relapse, right? Pretty crazy relapse. Did that for a few years. In and out of detox, just trying to get clean, trying to get well, trying to get, like, in my mind, I wanted to get clean, but I couldn't. At the times I tried, it just wouldn't work out, So I'd go to detox, and then at that detox, if there were any rooms available at any other treatment centers, they would get you in there. So at the times I went, there'd be no rooms, like nothing available at treatment centers. Until one day, man, 2018, I gave it another shot, man. And there was a rehab, a bed that opened up at a rehab. And to be at rehab, at this particular rehab, you can't be in withdrawal, you can't be detoxing, which I was, right? I was only in detox for like 24 hours at that time. A bed opens up, I tell them, hey, get me in there. I don't care. So the last rehab I was at, I detoxed myself without any comfort meds, like no Tylenol, nothing like that, nothing to help me sleep. And I really wanted to give this a shot. I was so tired, man. It got to the point where I was hoping not to wake up in the morning, just because I didn't want to face being sick again. I was just tired, exhausted of that whole grind of the line, the manipulation, all of that, right? I knew I could have still went on, but I didn't have it in me, man. So everything just started to align in my life, mentally. And I decided to give myself a chance, man. And what I mean by that is I started applying myself. Once I got into rehab, I detoxed for a week, but that first night I made it a point to make myself, to kick my own ass, to do 100 push-ups every night, which I did. Even though I'm sick, I'd take a break, during the push-ups. I'd still be withdrawing, so I'd go throw up, gag, because that's one of the withdrawals. It wasn't because I was like, it wasn't something I ate, nothing like that. That was just part of the withdrawal. So I made myself to do 100 push-ups every night. And I did. I was in treatment there for 4 months, and super blessed, man. I've been clean ever since.
Wow.
It's crazy.
Wow. You
Yeah.
just really your own mind just set off, was like, I'm done.
Yeah.
I got to stop this bullshit. And
Yeah.
that was your rock bottom. You know, I mean, you probably saw where the road was going to go. I mean, you were already going down this path of kind of mentally done with life, so to speak. You know, when you're not wanting to wake up anymore, you're like depression. I mean, of course, that's, you know, one of the things that addicts, you know, have is depression. But you were, I don't know if you would say suicidal, but you're ready just life to end, the struggle.
Yeah. I wouldn't have minded if I did not wake up, you know. Of course, like when you're in that level of desperation, the thought of suicide crosses your mind, but I didn't have it in me. You know, I didn't want to go out like that. As desperate as I was, I didn't have it in me. You know, I was too scared to even go that route. But man, when I was in treatment, we'd go to outside meetings, like AA meetings. They would take us there to a meeting that was just down the street. So it'd be a Alcoholics Anonymous meeting. We'd also go to a Narcotics Anonymous meeting. There I got to meet, in AA, one of the meetings, I got to meet my sponsor. So working with my sponsor, just expressing everything to this guy. He was an old black guy. He was in the Korean War, this OG from Chicago. But somehow he understood my stories, you know? I was trying to work with this other sponsor before him. He was an alcoholic. He really didn't understand why I was doing what I did. You know, he really only understood alcohol, which is fine, you know? I mean, that's his story. But working with my sponsor, man, everything I was doing at the time, working out, eating good, helping other people in rehab, just by talking to them, everything I was doing, I was benefiting from. And something in my brain just switched, man. And here I am today, man.
So
it's really hard to explain that.
How long have you been sober?
Let's see, 4 months, 4 years and 6 months.
4 years, dude, that's amazing, man.
Yeah.
I mean, now you've hit that threshold of, you know, you're not 6 months out, you're not a year out, you're not 2. You're hitting almost 5 years, man. That's a huge mark. That's a huge feat. You know, and I mean, you're still putting in the work. You know, you're still going to AA and NA meetings. You know, I mean, what would you say to somebody who was in your position of being an opiate addict? You know, what would you tell them? What advice would you give them?
Man, what worked for me is giving myself a chance. You know, I know how it is, that mind frame to where the only thing that could touch what you're doing is your drug of choice, is your drink. I know how it is. You become on autopilot. You wake up, boom, grab your keys and you hit the road because you got to get well, right? You got to. I know what comes with all that. So the best advice that I could give is just to give yourself a chance. If you could get to that point, give yourself a chance. I don't know what that looks like for everybody, but for me, that took just going to detox and trying to get into treatment, because who knows what could happen. Maybe something in your mind could change. Maybe somebody you could talk to could change the rest of your life. Maybe a story that you get out, maybe the multiple times of stories you get out, something there you could wake up one day with a whole different mind frame, and just give yourself a chance, man. Even if you're not in addiction, you know, if you're experiencing depression, you know, your life's not over. All you have control of is today. There's no sense on dwelling in the past. We're not going back there. We can't, right? We're only going forward. So just give yourself a chance, man.
So saying by giving yourself, breaking that cycle, because that's what detox, or that's what rehab is breaking the cycle, right?
Yeah.
Getting you away from it.
Give yourself a chance to have a chance, give yourself the opportunity to at least be better. I try and be better every day. I don't go to as many AA meetings as I used to when I did my first year, but working with different people behind the scenes, on YouTube, Facebook groups, some people locally, just me reaching out, the feeling I get from that, just sit down talking to people and seeing how I could help them. Not financially, but just sitting there as a human, one human to another human. I've seen that dark side. I've experienced that, man. And so just being able to keep myself open. I started noticing the more I did that, the more beautiful blessings I started to experience. Small blessings, huge blessings, opportunities to network. It's unexplainable, man.
Sounds like to me that helping people out is a way better high than the opiate.
Oh, yeah. It lasts longer too.
Yeah, and it's something that you can keep giving without guilt. And you don't have to go rob people for it.
It's genuine, man.
You're giving something back. That's amazing. That really is. Would you probably tell somebody like, hey, because you went back and you visited that one friend, even though he didn't really bring it up, but that element of there saying, I know this guy uses. I know I can get some right now. Would you possibly tell people like, hey, you've got to break that cycle. You got to break those friends off. You got to leave that group.
Yeah, man. In AA, NA, they talk about people, places, and things. When you're getting clean, when you're getting sober, you have to change the people you're hanging with, the places you're going to, and the things you're doing. People, places, and things. You have to change all that. I had to start over at age 39. I'm 42 right now. I had to start my life over at 39. One of the biggest things I'm dealing with today is knowing I had to restart my life over at 39, all because of my decision making. So I had to, as soon as I left treatment, it was like I'm reborn again. Here I am, 4 years in, I'm still kind of learning how to live again. Things are starting to fall into place. I have my own business, so that's a whole nother, that allows me to keep my day full. Working for myself allows me to share my message and just changing everything. Give your whole life an oil change, a tweak, whatever, everything has to be changed, man. I used to think my city was the problem. I did so much dirt in the city, bro. Up here is the problem.
That's it. Change, man. Simple changes can go a long way. What resources would you tell people to go seek out if they were wanting to get help?
Man, the resources are out there, depending on what they're doing. If you can, I'd recommend detox, because while you're there, there's different people there that they have a peer support specialist there. So they're there to check on you. They are there to see what you want to do after detox. If you need some psych meds, if you need anything behavioral health wise, if you just want to know some meetings, you could do so much at detox. It's kind of like a headquarters. It's the initial place that I had to go to learn what resources are available to me. If not detox, there's also behavioral health centers out there. Here in Tucson, we have one called Hope. There's one called Hope. There's Cope. There's La Frontera. There's so many. I know all these resources, especially in Tucson. But the resources are out there, and there's different centers for different things. So if you're looking for more medical stuff, like mental health stuff. I mean, you could go to those places if you're looking for housing. Those treatment centers are there. State-funded rehab, state-funded insurance, man, everything is out there. All that I couldn't do if I didn't give myself a chance.
That's awesome. Daniel, you, my friend, are a badass. You went down a road of drug addictive life and went to prison. You were destined to stay a drug addict. But you gave yourself a chance. You changed what you wanted to do because you wanted to change. You did it for yourself. You didn't do it for anybody else. You did it for yourself. Daniel, you are a badass, my friend. You're a badass for not only kicking the demons inside your ass, but overcoming this opiate addiction, which is one of the hardest addictions to overcome. You're a badass,
Yes,
my friend. I want to thank you for coming on this show. I really do appreciate it. Thank you for telling your story, man, being vulnerable. I know that's not easy.
I appreciate the opportunity, man. Just revisiting these things is the fuel I needed for today. I'll deal with tomorrow if I get blessed with the opportunity. But today, I thank you for the opportunity. This is awesome.
Thank you, man. So you got a business, man. So you beat drug addiction. You started this business. What business is it, man?
Yeah. So when I got out of rehab, I would always flip stuff on the side, like stuff I would find in yard sales. Anything I could find, yard sale, Goodwill. I'd flip anything and everything. Not to get high, but just to make profit on. It was a great hustle. Shortly after treatment, I got a job as a life coach. Did that for a year and a half. So I was working in a rehab with addicts, but I'd always have that hustle on the side. And so once I left my job as a life coach, I decided to go full force in my reselling business. So I transitioned from selling anything and everything, like printers, TVs, anything, watches, whatever. I thought to myself, what do I have access to? What is in my city? What is in abundance that I could make a profit on and get any time of the day? And that's clothing. Clothing is out there. People need it. You can't go to work without it. You can't go outside without it. So from there, I was like, okay, clothing. In order to scale my business, in order to get whatever I want out of business, I knew I had to stick with clothing. So I started researching different brands, certain items that I can make the most profit on. And so I would keep buying these items, and I was able to sculpt a pretty solid business reselling clothing on eBay. I'd buy a shirt, buy a pair of pants for $1 and flip it for like 20 or 30 bucks. Keep doing that over and over, man. My phone is ringing off the charts every day with cha-ching, 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 making sales on eBay. So I'm just super blessed, man. I was able to turn me quitting a job, a beautiful job as a life coach, turn that into a hustle. And that side chick turned into my main chick. You know what I mean? So it's a beautiful, beautiful blessing. It feels like a glitch in the matrix, man, because who would have thought I could sell a shirt, not this one. I could get this hat for like 50 cents. Shout out the U of A, right? I could buy that hat, 50 cents, flip it on eBay for like 20 bucks. Do that over and over, man. You got yourself a pretty little penny there, man.
Wow, dude.
It's crazy.
That's freaking awesome, man. That's a legit business, man. So where do they find you at on eBay? What's your handle?
Flippin 520. FLIPPIN 520. Flippin 520.
Dude, that's fucking awesome, man.
Yep.
That's awesome. All right, go check him out. Flippin 520. Go support him. I'm sure he's got some cool digs on there. I'm gonna go check him out. I'm gonna get a shirt. We're a badass at, man.
Let's do it.
Sweet. So you did this, and also you have a YouTube channel, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So they can find you on YouTube. And what do you do on YouTube?
Yeah, man. I started my channel last year sometime. I think like last November. I would always, since I was pretty busy trying to establish my business, I would always try and stay involved in recovery somehow. So I'd watch like different recovery channels and hear different stories, because I still need to hear these stories. I don't have this addiction thing figured out. I am not cured. If I go get high, if I go drink one more time, life is done for me, dude. You know, I might as well say goodbye to everything. So I need to hear these stories. And so the more and more I listen to these stories, the more I wanted to share my story, because I know for one, it makes me feel good. For two, I know somebody out there could relate to what I'm talking about. And I decided to just turn on my camera one day, hit recorded my first video. It was the worst video I ever did. Worst 3 minutes of my life, dude. It was so embarrassing just watching that freaking thing right now. But I left that there for motivation, man. Everything I go through in life, I try and use as motivation, man. So in order to not record videos like that again, you know, I had to come at it with a different approach. Just keep doing it over and over. Sharing my story. I've done a lot of networking, like behind the scenes with different YouTubers. So that's where I'm at, man. Righteous Monkey. And I named it Righteous Monkey. That's the name of my channel. I named it Righteous Monkey because a monkey, it's a beautiful animal to begin with, right? But it's correlated like in a negative manner in regards to addiction. People always say, man, I got this monkey in my back. I can't shake it, right? The monkey is always looked at as a freaking dirtbag. The monkey is not a dirtbag, though. The monkey is a beautiful, beautiful creature. So I took the monkey, and then I wanted this monkey to have a new outlook, right? I wanted to shake the stigma of the monkey on my back. So I turned that monkey on my back into the righteous monkey. And that's where I am today. My Chinese zodiac symbol is the monkey. So it's all working out, man. So that's how I came up with Righteous Monkey, man. Like I wanted to be the righteous monkey, you know?
Dude, that's a badass story, man. I love it, man. So go check him out, Righteous Monkey. He's still helping people, you know, with recovery through his videos. Go check him out. Hit a like and subscribe, man. Really, really help this guy out. You know, if you're dealing with drug addiction, there's a resource out there. Use your phone, talk to somebody. If you don't know where to go to an AA, go to NA meeting, because I guarantee you they will know where to get you and they will help you out. There are resources out there, whatever city you're in, whatever state you're in, there's resources out there. Go find those resources. Go find a meeting. You will find people who are willing to take you underneath their wing and to get you where you need to go. Let's get help. Let's get you off the drugs. Thank you for watching the show, and thank you for listening to Daniel's story. Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, share it, comment on it. Let us know what you think. And if you have a heroic story, let us know, and we'll get you on here because we want to know about your journey. So thank you for everybody for listening. Coffee, conversations, and badasses. Until next time. If you have a heroic story and you'd like to share it, get in contact with us. Our information's in the bio. Also, don't forget to hit the subscribe, like, and share. And then I'll see you on the next episode, badasses.